Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. First half of a back-to-back here at TD Garden in the books, and so is the season series against the Milwaukee Bucks. Celtics sweep it for the first time in ages. They haven't done that since like 2018, I think, is the last time.
You said ages. I thought we were going to go back to like the 90s or something.
It might be even sooner than that. We'll put it in the lower third, but this was an interesting game because the Bucks were in position to win again. They've been in position to win all three games, as Doc said before the game, and they squandered it late again. And you said what? They went on a 1 of 15 closing stretch offensively,
I think so, yeah.
And then Drew hits that floater. There's a little scare with Khris Middleton getting fouled by Jaylen there, but the Celtics closed it out at the free throw line. And Tatum amazing. Brown sets the tone in the first quarter. And even though they were trailing throughout this game, they were just shooting so many more threes than the Bucks that you didn't feel like they were going to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was one of the most encouraging wins of the season for that reason, because the fact that they've been consistently able to win when they're not shooting great is what you want, because you don't want them to just be shooting 40% all year, because then you always have to think like this might not last in the playoffs. And now we know that they can consistently win these games. And Giannis was getting everything that he wanted, and he scored 30 points on 25 shots. So it's like, you'll live with that. The Celtics are going to win most of those games. And I feel like if you're Milwaukee, you walk away from this one saying, we had two of our stars have really good individual games, and even so, we're really not in this position. We're not in a position to beat them.
Yeah, here's Giannis talking about that three-point discrepancy.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not just, they're the defensive champs. They beat everybody last year. So when you play them, you expect them to be the best. You come in to play the best. So, and the way they play, it's effective. They won the championship. So, you gotta expect I don't want to not credit other teams. I don't want to name another team, but say any other team that you go and play, and then you come in Boston, you gotta bring your A game because they're the defensive champ, and the way they play is very effective, which is get in the paint, and if you're not there, they're going to score a lot of points in the paint, and if you're there, they're going to kick it out, and they have a lot of effective three-point shooters.
So yeah, you can't overcome that, and it feels like the Bucks right now can't overcome what the Celtics can throw at them, and it's happened in Milwaukee, where they've played the Celtics well the last couple of years. It's happened here in Boston, where it's been a bit of a house of horrors for them. So you start to wonder with their age, with Middleton's status. This was his first game back this year, and he looked okay to start. Finished with a poor shooting night, so we'll see where his season goes. And Lillard, as many threes as he can get up and as good of a shot generator as he is, he doesn't terrify you anymore. So beyond Giannis's greatness, and he's been great in all of these games throughout this season, he passed Tatum on the MVP ladder this morning, interestingly enough, you do start to wonder not whether they can compete with Boston, because they clearly can game to game, but can they even get to a series against them? I know Doc said before the game, if we see them again this year, I'll feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I think the reality is that you look at this Bucks team and you're looking at the other Eastern Conference opponents, and this team does stand out. I think that you ask the players.
They'd be second behind Cleveland to me.
Yeah, I think if you ask the players, you're playing Milwaukee versus playing any of these teams that are kind of hovering around 500, this team is going to stand out. That being said, does standing out in the East mean anything when it comes to how successful the Celtics team has been, how consistent they've been? Tatum called them special 3 different times post-game today, and I think that's just
unique. They're a unique
yeah,
challenge.
I think when you watch them play, there's very few teams that I would be concerned about, and when they have more matchups against Western Conference teams, I think we'll get a sense of how they match up against those teams a little bit better. It honestly feels like it's been so long since they've played a Western Conference team that's not the Mavs. I know the Warriors were here, but overall, it's really been a very long time because this whole first half of the season has been against the East. But yeah, looking at Milwaukee, that doesn't scare me in a 7-game series. I don't see a pathway for Milwaukee to win 4 games. Obviously, anything can happen. I say that all the time, but we've seen more unlikely upsets. This wouldn't be the most stunning upset of all time, but even so, I don't think you walk away from this 3-game series against Milwaukee with concerns if you're Boston.
Yeah, and they're not the same defense anymore. That's the biggest thing. When they would give the Celtics fits, you thought about Middleton, who was one of the Celtics killers in his day, and their great defense, and Budenholzer even, who they fired, and that's still the genesis of all of this, I feel like, is them curiously firing them in a series Giannis went down in, and they haven't been healthy the past couple playoffs. They make that Drew move, and we're going to talk about that forever, is something that changed the league and changed both of these franchises, and they've struggled to recover from that. It's nice what AJ Green's doing there, and Andre Jackson's become an admirable starter for them, and they came into this game playing great. But like a lot of teams around the league, they're just a step behind Boston, and right now it doesn't look like they can close a game against them. So I still give this team respect. If they line up in a series against this team, that home court there in Milwaukee is so daunting, and the Celtics have struggled there so much that I feel like that series could go long. Giannis could arguably be the best player in that series. But beyond that, like the depth, the coaching, the defense, so many things, you just rattle them off, go in the Celtics' favor. And Tatum's not that far behind Giannis.
I think Tatum's a better player at this point.
Yeah, it's
all
close.
around.
It's close.
But the biggest concern that I have with this Milwaukee team is just how critical Al Horford is. And this is what I said last year going into the playoffs. It's like you just
played him big minutes.
You rely on him so much, and you always have this thing. Like I know he hates. He hates when we ask him about it. We need to move forward from this narrative of him being old, but you have
This
to.
narrative, it's the truth.
No, but as someone who asked him about it in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he was like, "You guys always ask me about age." That's why I'm thinking about it. But ultimately, like you can't take what he's doing for granted forever. Eventually, he's gonna slow down. I don't think it's happened at all. I think this season there's been no drop off from last season. But if I'm looking at a 7-game series against Milwaukee, like my biggest concern is like Al Horford's gonna have to play really heavy minutes, and we know that he's a lot better when he has rest days. And depending on what round that is, that might be a round where it's every other day, or it might be every couple days. But you just hate to have a 30-year-old be so critical for a series. That's my only concern really with this team, and it's not really much of a concern because, as you know, it would take a lot for me to lose faith in Al Horford based off of how consistent he's been these last few seasons.
It's a good one. He had a fun moment closing the game with that little layup after the Celtics didn't know whether they were going to score there or not.
I love that.
5 days off now, and it's no coincidence that they pushed him so far in this game and that they played him tonight. They need him in this matchup. He'll sit tomorrow against Memphis. Kristaps will be back. He took tonight off. For Celtics Grizzlies, another matchup against one of the better teams in the league so far is Marcus Smart's return as well. First game playing against the Celtics, so he is questionable with an ankle sprain. So we'll have his status update tomorrow. For Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. Celtics win again here over the Bucks and sweep the season series. Let us know how you feel about them as a potential playoff matchup below. And we'll be back here tomorrow with all the coverage of Memphis versus Boston. Check out Prize Picks. Go over there, use the code CLNS for a bonus. When you play a $5 lineup, check out Game Time. You want to get tickets for tomorrow's game, that's the place to go and get $20 off your first purchase when you use the code CLNS. Terms apply. And check out HelloFresh as well as Built right now as well. And this has been the Garden Report. We'll talk to you tomorrow.